I was waiting for like the time to say hi. Hello, I'm Pepper. I'm gonna be here today with Molly. I'll be heard.
You know what makes streams good is when you connect your microphone. That makes streams good. They can hear you. Well, that's good.
Oh, they can hear me?
Yeah, can they hear me now? My microphone's actually connected now, so hopefully that works. As you can see, I'm a very professional streamer. Still can't hear? Should have fixed that. Yeah, okay, they have it now. To decipher her using charades. Does anybody speak sign language? I will write on a piece of paper and just go through it like those old YouTube videos where they'd be trying to advocate for something, and it would be like
I know what you're
my
talking about, the really depressing ones.
yeah they would just be like, my name is Susie. 14 years ago, I developed an addiction to sniffing golf balls. Together we can stop this. I'm glad you remember those two.
I do. As soon as you said where they hold up the signs, it's like I know exactly what you're talking about. I remember seeing those all the time.
Yeah, Nick's like off to a great start. Yeah, there's always at least one problem when I start a stream. Because again, I'm a consummate professional. So, yes, as I was saying, I hope you guys enjoyed the curated art collection of the era of RWBY Tumblr where everybody had to be drawn orange for some reason. Lots of Oompa Loompa type art. And all the women had to be like Yang and Pyrrha always had to be drawn like giga buff, but never in a way that anatomically made sense. They just looked like rectangles. It was fantastic. So today we are going to go on AO3 and just do a live dive of RWBY fan fiction. I like how AO3, when you open it up in like a new incognito tab or something, it gives you this little warning so you can, just if you have any second thoughts. Like any smart person, I'm just gonna type in RWBY to the search bar. I don't know how YouTube, how strict YouTube is. I don't care. I don't think they care about somebody with 40 subscribers. Do we exclude explicit?
Uh, I don't know, because like you said, I don't know if YouTube would really care, because it's also written work, so I don't know. I guess it's up to you.
It's written. It's written, but it's where all the juicy stuff is anyway. So
No, I was gonna say that's probably where all the like the really bad, like the good bad stuff is gonna be.
yeah, the most recent thing, man, that's like the tamest ship in the world. It's just Blake's parents. Yeah, yeah, they are together. They had a kid and
Yeah,
everything.
they're like married.
Um, we're only two in, and we have our first gigantic. Let's 10,000 words on chapter one. Uh, Says something related to Bumblebee fanfic. It looks like it takes place in season one, as most of these do. I've noticed a lot of RWBY fanfic tends to take place in season one, or like seasons 1 through 3, which kind of tells you something about how the fans receive the newer seasons. It's kind of like
Yeah,
people like a setting. It's a wild concept, I know.
I know.
People like settings? Crazy.
People like people don't like when your world building goes off the walls.
I like it when my world building just has nothing. It's just me telling you that there are things here and nothing else. It's kind of like how the in old video games when they couldn't render everything, so they would just have these really cool models in the background, and you'd be like, man, I wonder what's up there, and the game's like, you can't go there. Actually, it's that, but world building.
Stuff here, and that stuff is cool, but you can't see it. I promise it's cool though. I promise.
Man, this semblance stuff is interesting. What's the method behind it? What's the rationale? Oh, oh, there isn't one. World construction site. If RWBY was a construction site, it would not be up to OSHA regulation. Let's see. This isn't. This is. Well, now we have straight Bumblebee. Fluff, Angst, Volume 2. Every time.
And I knew it wouldn't take us very long to get to the Bumblebee stuff. That's probably gonna be most of these fanfics, to be honest.
It is, and they're all the same.
Bumblebee.
They're all the same because they have nothing to work with.
It's just like that one hot-headed character and that one quiet character, but what if they were dating?
it's it's always, and they never want to like I said, they never want to actually base it in the current world of RWBY. So it'll always be like either in the academy, so they have the high school setting, or in an alternate universe.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll do anything. They'll be like, Bumblebee gas station AU, where Yang is a gas station attendant, and Blake binds books for a living. I don't know.
Fucking, or all the fucking like modern high school AUs.
Modern high school or college AU.
Yeah.
I like college AUs because so many characters and so many things just do not work outside of conflict.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh yeah, here's a character who's motivated by like the stress in the war, and then you put them in high school, and you have two options. Either now you have somebody who's incredibly like maladjusted for no reason, or they have to have everything interesting about them stripped away.
Mm-hmm.
I hesitate to ask, but is there a Valhalla AU? I don't know what that is. Good writing AU. RWBY deserves a good writing AU. I guess that's what fixing is. More Bumblebee. I like the 5+1 things format. I'm cheesy. Let's see. This one is Persona 5, but with Team RWBY, which I find funny because Persona 5's strong point is its characters and less so its story. So if you replaced the Persona 5 characters with uninteresting characters, you have nothing left except a really cool aesthetic.
What if you took the one good thing about this property and just put RWBY in it instead?
It's like incredible because it's just, what are you working with in the modern RWBY day and age? What are we working with? Like, you have 4 characters and their personalities are the good one, the good one, the good one, the good one.
Well, yeah, there's not much to work with in RWBY. Like, when I started writing my RWBY fanfiction, you just start from scratch. That's the only way you can, like, salvage it, is to start over. Like, there's nothing really left anymore in it that you can use.
It's so bad. Like, even, okay, early on, at least they had personalities. Early on, you know, it was like, oh, RWBY is naive and energetic because she's anime girl. Weiss is racist. Blake is secretive and mysterious. And Yang is the hothead. And these are very basic personality traits, but at least we can do something with them.
Like, you can go somewhere from there. You can, like, explore, like, you can explore depth in these characters and flesh them out as the story progresses, but they did the exact opposite. They, like, unfleshed them. They took away everything that was interesting.
Yeah. Um, what the hell is Salem in a school doing at a school AU? Rival school? I don't know. Try to find a BB tag fanfic. I promise you, any BB tag fanfic with RWBY characters is smut.
Oh, absolutely.
School AUs are redundant because we saw exactly what happened when they were in school. Oh, yeah. Huh.
It's school, but without all of the interesting, like, fantasy stuff. Well,
Yeah.
interesting, I say with quotes.
It's like Sarah. It's like Sarah said. It's the Pokemon fanfics where it's no Pokemon AU. Like I'm here for a reason. A lot of fan fiction is like just the same plot recycled over and over, but like with different paint on it. So it's like we'll have the same high school AU story with the same tropes, but this one's Attack on Titan, this one's My Hero Academia, this one's RWBY, this one's Pokemon Sword and Shield, and they're all just kind of the same. So they have to remove everything that distinguishes each of these series.
Hmm. But then once you do that, then it's like you took away the distinguishing part of that series. So now what do you have? Like,
It's
what
just
did you make,
painful.
really?
I like how this extends to every fandom to the point where there's like Animal Crossing, like Fujoshi stories, where it's just like Red was kicked out by Tom Nook and now they must reconcile in the city, and I'm just like, bro, that's a Tanuki and that is a fox thing. Um, let's see. Raven Brownwood and Ty. Yeah, like yeah. Like yeah. Hmm. RWBY is pulled from a hellish past by Junior and raised by the club members as if they were family. But she has an unforeseen secret that threatens to ruin the life they enjoy together. Heavy OOC for some characters. Then, what's the... Bro, make your own characters then. But a few OCs, AU, same world, different happenings. But they're... The Attack on Titan author made official high school AU. Yeah, I remember those. They were
I
actually kind of
have that.
funny. They were funny.
They are. I have the like the actual copy of it at home. It's like Attack on Titan Junior High or something like
Yeah,
that. And it's actually kind of funny.
yeah. Um, Pokemon AU where everything is the same, but people recognize that Beedrill is a 3-foot tall wasp. Mom, I'm going out to play. All right, do you have your AK-47 with you? What I like is the ones where it'll just be like whatever story in whatever AU. Like this is like a pirate AU or something. They're talking about a Cinderfall airship crew. I don't know. This is like something to do with Penny. I don't even know if... No Magic AU. Hollow Legacy AU. Oh yeah, RWBY is... There's so many RWBY fanfics. That like, there's AUs that are just used by other people. Like somebody has written a better RWBY and they're like, oh yeah, this is this one now. Like this is a series name you should know.
I once beta read a Harry Potter fan fiction that was a fan fiction of another Harry Potter fan fiction, and it was the wildest shit. Like,
Where
there
do you...
will be fan fictions of other fan fictions. Like, it's especially in big fandoms.
I think in RWBY it's funny because it's people being like, yeah, that person's version is better.
Yeah.
Why do you know that BB tag fanfics are smut? I don't. I'm just guessing. Like knowing how fighting game fans work, you know, it's not like they have much story to work with in most games.
Yeah, especially with the character designs.
Yeah.
Like, when you have a fighting game that doesn't have a lot of story in it mixed with the BB tag designs. I don't know.
Willow Schnee XOC. You know what? Yeah. If that person's gonna write a self insert with any RWBY character, I feel like Willow's probably the most respectable one.
Is there a Waishni and Azula fanfiction that I saw?
Yes. Wait, hold on. I forgot to mention that. Weiss. It looks like and wait. So it. Wait. So it's like she has dreams where she's reincarnated as Azula. Why?
What do you mean, like she was Azula in a pat? Like what? I don't understand.
Who has this type of idea? Like, yeah, these two series need to be combined, and these two characters, they're not even similar.
Hey, Weiss and like the only thing remotely similar is that they both are like inheriting like a fortune and or a country. Like Azula is a princess and Weiss is a heiress. But I wouldn't necessarily say that that's enough to inspire something like this.
You know, what sucks is this is actually pretty well written. I'm kind of curious if this person does anything else that's like not really weird. I have no idea what this is. Oh, they ship Ilya and Weiss, which is the most based ship in RWBY, actually. And as we know from previous videos, a based ship means one that is just uncommon. But when you consider it, you're like, yeah, that would be really interesting. Like, that would be really good.
And Weiss. Yeah, that would be interesting. I feel like there's a lot you could go off of with that.
This is another, like, body swap. They really like body swaps, like, as a plot. Everybody has their thing, I guess.
Their thing is body swapping.
Body swap AU, where it's Catra from She-Ra 2018 and Azula, and they just switch places, and every time they wake up from their dreams or whatever, they're like, wow, that other person is terrible. And then they just go about their lives as normal.
Funny.
Misaka Kuroko fanfiction. I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is either.
Oscar X RWBY. If you people say like, oh, it's a weird ship because of the ages, or it's because Ozpin is there. The myth of consent. Is there someone you've forgotten to ask? Like I understand those. Why I don't like Rose Garden is because if you think that Oscar or Ruby are interesting enough to ship and have something compelling with it, they're like especially to ship with each other, something is wrong. You know what? Ruby gets a pass because you have her Volume 1 personality. Oscar does not. So
I feel like a lot of people ship them just because it's like the two main characters.
I know, but usually even if you're using that excuse, they have to be characters first.
Yeah. They're the two main characters, in quotations.
The two main things that are happening here.
Yes.
I think Ruby's like core problem is that it acts like things that distinguish these characters are flaws that need to be fixed. So they're like, look, White's got her character development. She's not bitchy anymore. She's not racist anymore. And I'm just like, that's cool, but that was kind of all she had going for her. So now she's just kind of nice with nothing else to it. Or like, oh, Yang isn't as hot-headed anymore. Like, I understand that like, they didn't need to develop out of those traits. They needed to develop alongside them.
Mm-hmm. And that's what really bothers me about RWBY is because they give these characters all of these, like interesting flaws, and they decide that character development is to get rid of those interesting flaws, but in reality, character development should be your character learning how to, like, function and live alongside their weaknesses, you know?
Yeah,
Like
it's
seeing how they adapt their environment based on the things that they are weak to, not them getting rid of their weaknesses, and you just have boring characters.
yeah. Like for example, in Volume 2, it's established that Weiss does not do well in close combat because she's a ranged fighter, so that that checks out. She can sort of handle it, but like if the space is limited and the person is like doesn't really play by the rules, she has issues with that. And I was always waiting for them to actually do something with that, like. Oh, she has to learn how to support from like the back of the unit, or she has to like just deal with it somehow, something like that. That would have been interesting. But instead, it's like no, she could summon, and other things can fight for her, and I like that. No,
Or another example is the whole something I this is what I really hated was the whole like Ruby hand to hand arc they
oh
gave
my
her
god,
because she couldn't do hand to hand. When it's like she could do a thing, like they had it perfectly set up where she could have learned that sometimes because she can only use her weapon, she has to learn that when it's okay to run away from a fight, like with the fight with Crow and Tyrion. Like she kept trying to jump in and like they could have had that be her lesson or her arc, but instead they're like, no, we're gonna have her awkwardly, like forcefully have her learn hand-to-hand combat, even though she has the perfect semblance where if she drops her weapon,
she
she can
can
just leave a
run.
fight.
She can
She can just
she
run.
can teleport. Teleports behind you, like.
Like she can go get her weapon. Or she could find a
Or
way, like you
yeah,
could
just
have an arc
flee.
where she figures out how to like have her weapon come back to her when she drops it, like with gravity dust or something.
Every good character development I've seen is about a person just kind of like accepting who they are and moving forward with that. And like an example I'm thinking of, I always go back to like a Final Fantasy game for good character development because they do that well. So like Terra in Final Fantasy VI is like, oh, I don't know if I'll ever be able to like understand love. Like that's one of her hangups. Is she's like, oh, I'm not fully human. Will I ever be able to understand these things? And instead of it being like, oh, I need to denounce my non-human side in order to like learn these things, she just does through her own exposure to the world and her experiences, and it's like in her own way. And if, like she doesn't need to drop who she is as a person. She just grows alongside who she is.
Okay.
Ilya, Blake, and Yang. Huh. I always feel like shipping Ilya and Blake is funny. Because,
Yeah, I
just
don't see that.
a little incelly. Just a little incelly.
Yeah, I don't really. Also, they did accidentally make Ilya like a lot older than like
That was really funny. They also made her
that
an
was
incel.
funny. They made her they made her not a good person on accident. And like she was supposed to be like morally gray that turned into a good guy, but they accidentally just made her a bad person.
Okay, like tips. If you need to make a morally gray person, try not to involve romance in it. And if you are going to involve romance in it, don't make it, I did this because I was rejected. If you're going to involve romance, have it be like, I'm morally gray because there's this person that I really love and loves me back, and that shows that there's positive attributes about me. You can't do like, oh, my tragic backstory is somebody saying no.
Like
my trauma
literally,
is being rejected.
my trauma is that a girl, like in Ilya's case, it was my trauma is that a girl who was like several years younger than me because the writers were idiots said no to me and didn't like me back. So now I'm gonna kill her family.
once
Like
I
that's
once I called Ilya an incel terrorist on Twitter, and somebody said that meant I hate indigenous people. Bro, where's Ilya indigenous to? Point to it on a world map, a map of Earth. Where is Ilya indigenous to?
that's another thing that always confuses me is like there isn't exactly like besides faunus and humans, there's not exactly like race as far as we know in RWBY. Like it doesn't have a purpose,
Yeah, there's no
Like it's
like
just a character
consequence to
design
it.
decision most of the time,
Me and
Like they normally
yeah.
do it because it looks good with their color scheme.
Me and Atma have a joke where it's like Weiss's character development where she learns not to hate Faunus, but she's still like racist. It's just like, I'm glad I don't hate Faunus anymore. Why is there a black person here? It's like, oh, you've evolved into just regular racist. Okay.
But at least you don't hate Faunus.
um, I like how this person made a little shout out to Monty and then misspelled his name. It's a little. I love RWBY OC names because people would be like, oh, they have to have like a color in them of some sort, and like okay, Violet Iris I can see like that gets a pass. Terra Bright Moon, Althea Clearwater, Rebecca Thornweaver, Sylvie Fallburn, Sarah.
Color is Rebecca Thornweaver.
The story of Nico Firestar. Cool.
Wait. I don't know how many people read the Warrior series in middle school.
I was thinking about
but
Warrior
as you
Cats.
said Firestar, I'm like, this person read Warrior Cats. They had to.
I mean, aren't all the cats like aren't all their names like that? They'll be like Thistleclaw or something.
Yeah, it's like two things put together. So it's like
Wait, is this like a Warrior Cats AU? Like I don't see it up there. That'd be really funny.
so. That'd be funny if it was so.
RWBY, but they're all cats. I had a friend who really liked Warrior Cats growing up.
In the woods.
Yeah.
I remember me and my girlfriend both loved reading Warrior Cats in middle school. Um, and I actually read them and tried keeping up with them for a while, but then they just kept making too many and I kind of outgrew them a little bit, so. Yeah. They're still making Warrior Cats books. It's been like 8 years.
They're still making Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they have Greg Heffley like chained up in a basement somewhere.
Well, for the Warrior Cats, the author Aaron Hunter only wrote the first 6, and all the rest were written by like a group of ghostwriters.
Interesting.
So none of them have been written by her, and like most of them haven't been written by her.
This one is Naruto x RWBY harem.
Oh god.
There's so much I can say about that. Like
speaking of harem fanfics, my favorite thing is so when people on either AO3 or Wattpad like follow me or add my story to like a reading list or something, I'll go through and see what else they read. And I can't even tell you how many fucking harem fanfictions I've scrolled through and seen that these people are also reading alongside mine, and I'm like, oh,
RWBY fanfics
feel great about my readers.
RWBY fanfics really like those. I don't know. Yeah, we see Ironwood and RWBY here, which is interesting. But I can tell it's what I call sad fanfic sex. PTSD, praise kink, like slow burn angst. It's sad fanfic sex. There's a difference. It's the reason why I like don't read Fire Emblem Smut anymore. It's just Byleth X sad protagonist. In this fanfic, they are sad. And I'm like, that's neat, I guess.
In this fanfic, we have sadness and horny.
I'm like, you have anything else? There was more to these characters you could do. So did you know Edelgard was traumatized? I'm like, yeah, I did. I played the game. I was there. I saw it. Anybody who uses the term useless lesbians gets put on my shit list. It is one of my sleeper agent words. Why do so many of these have alternate universe, college university, PTSD, sexual humor?
I was about to say, I see AU, college university fluff, and then I see post-traumatic stress disorder. And I'm like,
I always wonder, like, where they fit that in. Like, I'm really curious about that.
like sure, college students can have PTSD, but why do all of them? Why
That
is it?
that's like the thing where they're trying to combine the traits from like the show into the college AU, but the thing is about college is that most people in college didn't lose their arm in a cataclysm.
Yeah, like you don't have like Yang in RWBY is not going to be the same person without the world of RWBY. You know, like if she's not fighting monsters, then she's just a normal person.
Yeah, we're not really here to read about like normal people. Um, let's see. I'm quit being weird. Ruby pulled up her hood as a blockade. I'm gonna go watch some anime later, Yang. I don't know why I found that funny.
When this is something
Oh,
I've kind of noticed, but
uh,
when somebody's trying to make like a nerdy character and they just make and to do that, they're just like, yes, they are nerdy because they watch anime. That's it.
nerdy character that's like just actually a terrible person. It like it'd be like Big Bang Theory, but they acknowledge it. Eventual mentor Johnny Joestar. Christianity. Pura Nico-centric. Bro, I miss when Piero was a character and not just a reason for John to cry. Now he's going to have two reasons to cry. Over the lost love interest and over the woman that he had zero lines with.
Yeah, he's just, his fridge is filling up mighty quickly. He started out with one person in there, now he's got two women in his fridge. Next thing you know, Ruby's gonna die for him, Yang, Blake. They just kill all of the women so John can be the true main character.
They're gonna
He's working his
kill.
way up there.
They're gonna kill all the women and leave Winter alive just to spite me. Bro, I wish Ruby still had characters. Yo, me too. Guys, challenge. Name one RWBY character. Character meaning a person that has a backstory that leads to a personality that leads to actions that leads to consequences consistently. Volume 7, Ironwood. Yeah. But that's also been ruined. Thanks, Volume 8. I like fanfics that have to tag literally everything. Minor depiction of an abusive relationship. Minor. It's okay. It's just letting you know.
Cheerleader and star quarterback AU.
Oh, it is Bumblebee. Yeah, of course. Is Yang the
Bumblebee
quarterback?
Endgame.
In football AU, where Yang has to deal with her 8th knee surgery as a linebacker. Let's keep it realistic. Stripper AU. Nice. Oh yeah, it was Yang's birthday yesterday or something, so we're seeing a lot of that. Happy birthday, Yang! Mass Effect.
Oh, I just saw a Jean.
Where?
It was Jean, self-insert, self-indulgent.
Oh no. Oh
And I
no.
was like, oh no.
Why?
So you mean
if,
every Jean fanfiction?
if you're gonna project yourself onto a character, any fictional character, why would it be John?
Why?
It,
literally, and the,
it's like,
if somebody tells me that they genuinely like Jean, I distrust them.
red flags going up.
Yeah, those are all my red flags going up. Like, oh, you like Jean? Great. I'm gonna go over here now.
Yeah, I just really liked how the totally mediocre guy who lied his way into Beacon got training from a woman, and then that woman died, and now he's super cool and the best, and women die for him all the time, and everybody thinks he's very handsome. I just like that for some reason.
Wonder why you would like that.
He's the anime boy who vomited. I've vomited before. It's just like me. I remember when I watched Frozen for the first time when I was like 14 years old. I really started to grow a distaste for like the awkward, quirky protagonist where it's like, see, they trip over themselves. It's so relatable. And then and it's literally just there for people to put gifs on Tumblr and be like, me when I get up in the morning, and the character like, wakes up with bedhead or something.
Hmm.
It's Bumblebee, White Rose, Ren and Nora, Neptune and Sun. It's Coco and Velvet. I have never had an original thought in my life. Oh, this is a group chat fanfic. Those are always the most painful.
Oh God, I don't get the appeal of those. Like, I've never really.
Because they have group chats, and I have a group chat. And it's funny. Oh, someone just said boomer. Yeah. We have the first sexuality drop in a group chat fanfic. You can't go more than 3 lines without somebody referencing what sexuality they are or what gender they are. I think people also like the group chat fanfics because they're super easy to write.
Get like, I guess, like, reading them.
It's so weird because like it's literally just people being like, this is how me and my friends talk, and then putting it in, like, just changing the names. And like, I understand that people's like, oh, what are these characters who are in a group chat? But again, RWBY characters have nothing to go off of, so there you go. It's just gonna be you. I want to see group chats. Like, I want to see, like, Fire Emblem group chats where they're just all incredibly dysfunctional members of society. Like, I want to see, like, one of them's up at 5 in the morning, just pinging everybody. Whoa, guys, did you see that dead bird over down near the marketplace? Pretty cool stuff. If you want to make something interesting like that, the whole point is you have to make it sound like the characters. And characters are interesting for reasons, not because they remind you of yourself.
Yeah.
Also, these get dated extremely fast.
Yeah, I could see, like, if there was, like, characters that had a very strong, like, voice and, like, dialogue that you could pull from, that you could, like, you know what I mean? Like, when characters have a very, like, distinct dialogue pattern, I feel like that'd be fun. But
it's never that. It's always just like,
no.
it's just memes and saying what LGBT thing they identify as, because that's relatable. Because me and my friends have all been pretending to be gay for the past 2.5 years, and I mean, what? I mean, nobody would ever do that just to be funny in a friend group. No, that'd be ridiculous. Gosh, I love really weird smut fanfics that have incredibly specific tags. Womb filling. Just normal things. Normal things people look up.
Oh,
What'd you find?
those are some those are some tags. Uh,
The one I'm on right now?
yeah, I think so.
Penny Polladina is a person of color because being a robot didn't make her enough of a minority. Penny is autistic. How can Penny be autistic? She's not a person.
A
You,
robot.
you can't be neurodivergent if you don't have a neuro.
She's not neuro anything. She's a robot.
She's
She
AI.
doesn't have a brain.
I love the idea. Imagine like programming a robot to have autism. Just I want to intentionally wire this brain to have a specific mental disorder. Same thing with making her transgender. How does she have a concept of gender? She's a robot.
And you could probably just like she's got robot parts.
just switch out your robot parts, yo. They're all
Yeah, this
trans.
is like any mental illness with Penny. She's a robot.
You can literally make her immune to mental illness if you wanted. I like, even if you're arguing like, oh, she has a soul and therefore can think independently like a human, she can't. Like mental illnesses are caused by chemical imbalances and protein deficiencies and things like that. If she doesn't have a brain, even if she's a super advanced AI, that can't happen.
Unless they built her brain wrong. But I don't. And you can fix that.
We've definitely mapped out the human brain. You sure? Child neglect, depression. Like again, how does a robot get depression? Polyamory. Author is trans. Author is polyamorous. Author is a trans woman. A transgender. Everybody seems to be trans in this, and polyamorous. Like the author didn't need to put that they identify as those two things. I know. Like I can tell. You're showing your hand. I know. Remember when May had trouble calling Penny a girl in the show? Makes one think.
Oh god. See. I remember that.
I like how May referenced her being transgender and her wanting to let an entire city die in the same sentence.
So good at representation, guys.
They're so good at representation.
They're so good.
It's interesting how many people see various RWBY characters as autistic reps. Well, there's two things here. A, when you don't have any personality and you make really irrational decisions, you can assume a lot of things about a character that are, wrong. B, I have some news about the demographics of people writing RWBY fanfictions. Just by, the transitive property. Because there's this big thing, in writing communities, like your Twitter writing communities, they're like, write what you know. So if you're autistic, you write people with autism because people are telling you, like, write what you know. That's the best way to start, which I guess so, but, like, you should know how to write things that aren't you. Like in Pepper's RWBY fanfic, she's writing about an abusive relationship. She's never been in an abusive relationship, at least I hope not.
No, I have not.
And certainly not one that involves, like, extreme violence, and death, and more violence. And since Pepper is not in jail, we can assume this is not the case.
Yeah.
Like,
This
you're...
takes a lot of research on what you're writing about, but...
Yeah, I think that's
no,
why...
I have not been in that situation.
I think that's why so many fanfics are, like, stripped down, bare bones, high school or college AU, because there's this whole notion that it's like, you only should write what you know. If you're white, don't write Hispanic characters. If you're autistic, write autistic characters. And because of that, people are just stuck, and all they can do is write the same, like, sludge of basic nothingness.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, like, I always hated like because I've heard people say to write what you know a lot, and I've always hated that because I mean, there's this thing called the internet, and you can research anything you want if you dedicate the time to it. Like you won't become an expert, but if you have a brain, you should be able to research it enough to be able to write about it. As long as you're like respectful and you do your actual research, like there's a lot of stuff that I write about that I would have no idea about myself. Like I said, the main thrust of the story is about a very abusive relationship. I've only dated two people, and both of them were healthy, you know?
Yeah, like
So, but I did my research on abusive relationships. I talked to people who were in abusive relationships, and I respectfully did my research and I wrote a convincing and engaging story about abuse. Like,
yeah, and even if you're not doing something that serious, there's still like logical conclusions you can make.
mhm,
Like, oh, this bad thing happened. It would affect this person this way because that's just the natural human state. Like,
mhm,
there are things that are universal among humans, like being afraid of heights. Almost everybody's afraid of heights. We know this. We don't need to research being afraid of heights because it's so common. Like, I'm not afraid of spiders. There's one living on the wall right now. I'm not afraid of spiders, but I know a lot of people are afraid of spiders. That doesn't mean I can't write people who are afraid of spiders, because
mhm.
I can understand why people would be afraid of spiders. Like, you're
Yeah,
allowed
and
to.
and it's like you understand. And another thing, kind of using that example, is you know what it's like to be afraid, so you can apply that to a different fear. Even if you're not afraid of spiders specifically, you know what it's like to be afraid, so you should be able to write about being afraid of spiders.
I'm afraid of. I'm not afraid of heights universally. I'm only afraid of sheer drops where I'm like not fully enclosed. And I had forgotten about this until we took a vacation to the Southwest and like the Grand Canyon and the Hoover Dam. And we go
Mhm.
out to these places and I'm like, uh oh.
I This is kind of just a weird fear that I've discovered like in the last like 2 or 3 years. So I grew up along the Mississippi River, which is a disgusting river. It's very gross. You can't see it at all. It's like brown.
Yes.
Um, but I went to a clear water lake for the first time like 3 years ago, where the water is actually clear, and you could like see like the whole like bottom of the lake and all the fish swimming in it.
Oh, and you're scared of
And for
depth.
some reason, well, I'm scared of, yeah, like clear water.
Yeah.
Like
I
I couldn't get in.
I've never liked like seeing deep water. Like if
Hmm.
I'm in if I'm in something like a deep pool or something, I won't wear like goggles because I don't like being able to see the bottom. Yeah, I think that one's pretty common, and I think it's related to the height thing. Like, it's just one of those universal fears that a lot of people have. Uh, hmm.
Oh, there's another bunch of tags that are interesting.
Yeah, it's I don't
Hmm.
slutification. I don't like that idea. I'm all for goblinfication though. That's when you take a woman who has manners and like poise, and she slowly devolves into a goblin who like climbs trees and eats food off the floor. I think that is a more respectable route to take.
It's more respectful.
Yeah. My ex boyfriend would like try to physically stop me from eating popcorn off the floor. We called it floor corn.
Lord Gordon.
Sarah does not stop me. Sarah understands my needs to be goblin, but she probably should not let me eat food off the floor. This being said, Oscar Pine ex Salem. Well, we're gonna skip past that one.
That is problematic.
To say the least, Ruby and Five Nights at Freddy's and Call of Duty. Tell me you're 13 without telling me you're 13.
Wait, what was all in there? Ruby, Five Nights at Freddy's, and
Call of
Call of
Duty.
Duty. How do you even put those together?
I don't know. It says it's a dream they had.
Oh,
for a big night, and it's a multiverse where Salem learned new things she could do with her magic and big portals to other worlds. Last time I had a dream about like a series I liked. I dreamt that the final map of Crimson Flower in Three Houses took place in Boston. Like it was still Fire Emblem, but they were just in downtown Boston.
I've had dreams about Ruby before, and they're never good. I always wake up and hate myself afterwards. You can really tell I spend a lot of time thinking about this show, and that's not a good thing. I'm not thinking good thoughts about Ruby.
Now I need to write the Three Houses Boston AU. Yet, like yelling out commands. Petra, behind Fenway. There's. Harem, Ruby harem, OC harem relationship. Fuda on female, huh? Uh huh. Uh huh.
Interesting. Sometimes just reading through the tags of some of these is
Like it's a story in
interesting.
itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crow and Clover. I loved the meltdown over it when that happened. That was like a moment in history. The real moment in history, though, were people who thought that Yang was actually dead in Volume 8.
Oh my god. Anybody who actually thought that Yang was like, I remember talking to it, and people would, because people asked me in the Tundra, they're like, um, what do you think, about them if they kill off Yang? Like, would that be considered, killing your gays? I'm like, if they did, kind of, but they're not gonna kill Yang. Yang's not dead. If you think she's dead, if you're even gonna seriously talk about her being dead, you're an idiot. She's not dead. Like, as soon as Yang fell down, I was like, oh, like, so they're going on some sort of adventure. Like, falling down there is not death.
they they should have like that should be on like IQ tests. It should be on litmus tests. Like, is this person dead? Like, watch the scene. Is this person dead? Did any of them suddenly have Boston accents in the my Three Houses dream? So I have this running joke with a few of my friends that like in the ideal redub of Three Houses, the Black Eagles would all sound like they're from the Northeast. So they'd all have like Long Island and Philly accents, except for Petra, who is still learning the language and therefore talks in an extremely thick Boston accent. Edelgard, I'm heading to Dunkin'. I'll get a strawberry frosted and an iced regular. Terrible. Anyone else watch Volume 5 live and remember the Weiss freakout? I do remember the freakout. I don't think anybody actually thought she was going to die. I remember in Volume 5, my thing is I was really hoping Ilya would die because I thought she was a good candidate for it. And then Ilya was like, I'm gay, and I'm like, oh, well, that's not happening.
I did not watch Volume 5 live. I think the first one, I watched the second half of Volume 6 live, and that's when I started watching, was Volume 6. So I think I watched Volume 5 in one go. It was either one or two goes I watched it.
I remember waiting every week. I would watch it in my friend's dorm, and I remember episode 9 so clearly because I was yelling at the screen for something to happen.
I am very glad. I think that I'm going to be honest, if I was watching Volume 5 live, I think I might have dropped the show because of if I couldn't watch it all at once and get through it. Like, if I had to wait every week between episodes with nothing happening, I don't know if I would have continued watching RWBY. Or at least I wouldn't have finished watching that volume. Like, it's just nothing happened.
Who the hell is Joanna?
What? Joanna?
Who's Joanna? Why watch Volume 5 when fixing Volume 5 is right around the corner? Yes. Plugging for fixing.
Hey, I've been waiting for that.
If Raymond likes my stuff, some of my music will be in there. He is a tough crowd, though. I'm doing my best. Winter survived the Ironwood fight by telling him she's gay. People thought Ren or Nora would
Sorry, I
die this
just
volume. I
I
wish
just
Ren or
saw
Nora
that.
would die, because they have just served their place in the story. And they are
Yeah.
just there now. Based on late 1700s era of pirates. Okay. You can't kill me, Ironwood. I'm gay, trans, and autistic. When is Ruby gonna have the autistic reveal? I've been sent a picture of Joanna. Okay. It's just one of the happy, like one of the background characters. Like I can't think of what else to do with Ren or Nora in the story right now besides just kill them
Joey,
because
Happy Huntress. I'm so sorry I blurted that out, but I
yeah.
saw that and I was like, oh, it hit me. Now I know who she is.
Tony Stark X reader, Frankenstein X reader.
Wait, what?
Yandere. Five Nights at Freddy's anthropomorphization. I don't need autism in Ruby. That would make my blood boil. I want to see them do it just to see how hard they drop the ball. Like when She-Ra was like, Entrapta was the best character, literally bar none, for the entire series, and then in season 5, they were like, yeah, she's super awful now and stupid and clueless and selfish. By the way, she's autistic. Bravo.
She's so good at representation, guys. So good at it. This
It's
is
so
what we
good.
wanted.
I like how in Owl House, the white Catholic woman from Connecticut wrote the Dominican character, the Dominican girl, to have no father in the picture that we know of. Ooh, yeah.
That's an oof.
Well done, everybody. It's a
That's one of my least favorite things is when people are like, oh, like people like representation, so we're just gonna shove some in there, and it's like, can you at least make it good?
at,
Like,
at
then people
least
will praise them for it. Like I see it with Ruby all the time. They'll be like, Ruby's so good. They have such great representation. And it's like any representation at all does not mean it is good. We still need to be critical of it.
uh, Owl House, yeah, and then Owl House is like, oh yeah, and then the character that looks like me is super hot and attractive and woos the Dominican 14-year-old. And that is actually better than what She-Ra had, which is, they specifically said, like, it is on the Wikipedia page, they're like, we designed Catra to be a brown Latina, and then it shows Catra bullying a special needs adult. And I'm like, great. And then and then she was wooed by the white woman, right? Just awesome work all around, everybody. Um, if you're gonna put in representation, do it like Amphibia did it. It's like, okay, I am of this ethnicity, I eat this food and these clothes, and I know this language, and it's not in like every episode, but it just comes up when it's relevant, and it's like, hey, that's cool. It's not like weird. There's no like weird implications about it. I think their issue is they try too hard for too much at once, and they're so focused on like they're so focused on like just looking good that they forget like, oh yeah, these are still characters that we need to make look good.
Yeah, you still need to make a believable character. Otherwise, you might as well, you fail, basically. If you don't have a realistic, fleshed out, actual character, you know, or you make representation. My favorite thing is when they make representation, but then they make it like either with a stereotype or they make it bad. Like they make it actually harmfully reinforcing something else about that like demographic.
Yeah,
Like
Peter.
you pointed
Hold on.
out with the character
Peter.
from Owl House
Hold
not
on.
having her father in the picture. Like when they do stuff like that, like think about the characters you're making.
Peter Flint says just stopping by to say hi and drop a like. I appreciate that. Thank you. Um, you just took the time to drop the like. I don't know. That's nice. It gives me the warm fuzzies. But yeah, representation is definitely a thing you have to think about. Like that doesn't mean you can't make a minority a bad person. Like that's fine. You know, if your villain is going to be brown or whatever, I don't care. It's just you have to watch out for, is this your only representation? Is this is this entire show morally broken in some way that will make me hyperanalyze it even more? Is there other weird implications out there? Like like
Mhm.
I'm not gonna be mad if like Catra's brown. Like, yeah, I don't care. She's a cat person. They can do whatever they want with her. She could have been, orange for all I care. Uh, she could have been a tabby. I don't know. I think it's weird that they were like, we specifically designed her to look like a brown Latina, a brown Latinx, if you will. It just feels so
Then
weird.
they made her the villain.
And then they made her awful.
Hmm.
Not just the villain. If she was just the villain, she's an awful person.
Hmm.
Like Owl House, I'll give it that I'm looking into it. Like I'm looking too into it, and I'm like, that's an unfortunate coincidence you dropped in there. Maybe the father will be revealed later. I don't know. As far as Owl House is going, it's doing fine. It's just on a very shaky house of cards. Like that's fine. You can give minority characters like even little stereotypical traits. Like in Star Versus, like Marco's parents are like incredibly Mexican and have all the stereotypes going for them. But it's like fun. Like you can see it's tongue in cheek, and I'm sure probably a Hispanic creator was involved there. It's not mean. It's because like sometimes people like it. Like I've heard from several Hispanic people that like Speedy Gonzalez is like really popular in Latin America, and like yes, he's a stereotype, but it's like fun.
Hmm.
It's not like super negative. It's not like there's anything bad about him. I think that can be fine.
Make them bad.
I think that can be fine if you
Probably
like
something.
you do it correctly. My problem is when instead of actually wanting to make representation a legitimate thing, where like you show it as a positive thing,
You just put it in for brownie points.
you put it in for brownie points and forget every other implication there. Like,
And
why was it so important to you to make Catra a brown Latinx? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Not a white one. The white ones don't count, remember? Like, that's so weird. It's like, we want her to be a brown Latinx, specifically. Which I don't get, because a lot of Latinos are light-skinned, but,
Mm-hmm.
So like that with RWBY, the issue is that they'll be like, guys, look, it's our first gay character, and it's Ilya. Look, it's our first trans character, and it's Beck.
Mm-hmm. And that bothers me, because it's like, and then people will, and what makes me even madder is when people will still, like, take that and praise it, and it's like, no, like, we can get better. Especially in this day and age where you have a lot more shows, getting diversity and representation, where I feel like people should be more, like, critical of it and be like, no, I'm not going to accept this as my representation. I want better representation. I want it to actually be good, you know?
Yeah, like, growing up, it was really hard. Like, in a lot of Dan Schneider shows, Jewish people were the butt of a joke. Like, in Victorious, there was a Jewish main character, and, like, everybody hated him, and he was a giant dweeb. That's not good.
Mm-mm.
But at the same time, if like, they wanted to, if one of these woke shows was like, we have a Jewish character, I'd be like, you better do this correctly. Because I'm not going to accept any positive, like, any representation is positive. Like, it has to be good.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like there's very little, like, positive lesbian representation in these shows, no matter how, like, woke they are. The only one I could think of is, like, Clarence had, like, one of the main characters is two moms, and they're, like, normal people.
Yeah.
That's literally where it ends. Everything else is, like, Like I'll give stuff like, you know, Adventure Time is probably the only one that did it okay, and they had a fight for that tooth and nail. Um, Steven Universe has its issues, but it's like fine. Then you got like Korra and Asami, and like Korra's not a good person. Um, and it's like, okay, that was questionable. Then you had like Bumblebee, and Bumblebee is just bad.
Yeah. I always Korra the show Legend of Korra always makes me sad because I've seen a lot. I like looking into behind the scenes stuff of shows I like and stuff. And first of all, I enjoyed Legend of Korra, except season 2 was rough. I'm not gonna season 2 was bad. It was just bad. But like I enjoyed the rest of it. I thought it was pretty fun. Um but like hearing about how the production behind the scenes went explains so much. Like
Oh, I'm sure.
my favorite thing is that the creators Nickelodeon, because another thing to keep in mind is Korra was made a few years ago.
Yeah.
Um so
I
the Nickelodeon didn't want Korra to be a girl. Like the creators had to fight
yeah,
tooth
no,
and nail.
I understand they had a fight for it,
Oh
and
my God, it makes
but
me so sad.
but as Atma says, and it's one of my, just a quote I've said before, they should have never given y'all Korasami. Because it's not that Korasami itself was bad, it's everything after it that had problems.
Everything after Korasami was the start.
It's like, I always compare it to like, so you know the show Family Matters? It was a big deal because it was like the first sitcom to show like a normal black family, you know, as like this all-American sitcom family. And that was obviously really positive representation, and it was like a good show, and a lot of people liked it. It would kind of be like if they had Family Matters, and then every show like show with a black character afterwards, which is awful representation and really racist. Like that's how it feels. You had like Korasami, which is fine, and it's like, what do we get after that? Life is Strange, RWBY, She-Ra, like it hasn't been good to say the least. Steven Universe.
Hmm.
I still, one of my life's goals is to go to a convention, wait in line for 2 hours at a Q&A, just so I can ask Rebecca Sugar, hey, if all the gems have no gender, how are they gay? And then leave. We support the LGBTM pride, which is why I'm proud to announce we have a Smurf in our cast. Yeah, it's annoying that like people act like it's the pinnacle of these relationships too. Like Bumpy's the pinnacle of the relationship. Like it's so bad. You demand better. The reason they keep doing this is because it works.
Yeah, and like that's what I say. And I remember one time on I made the mistake of interacting with a RWBY fan on Twitter. I know, shame. Um, but there was a post and it was praising Bumblebee as like a legitimate like this is the best representation we've ever had. It's peak representation. I really think they did a great job. And I responded and I said I was like um I was like, yeah, they do the bare minimum. They have two women be interested in each other, but I think that, as a community, maybe we should not praise this because we can get better. We can get actual fleshed out and well done and believable relationships. And I think we should kind of, ask for that. And then they told me to shut up. And I was like, oh, okay, so you don't care about gay people. You just want to say that your show is good. I get it.
Yeah, no, that's what it's about. The issue too is that
Like,
people excuse toxic relationships on the basis of them being gay. Exactly. Like that's the worst part. Is that it's like, oh, but it's representation, it's something. Like, no, that's not how this works. Especially because
yeah.
now you see people who are just like, they base their relationships off it. Sarah and I know someone who like was a terrible girlfriend to her girlfriend, and they got like Cachadora icons, and it's like it's so frustrating because this stuff, fiction, obviously fiction isn't reality, but these are like teenagers, and this stuff carries over to their beliefs because they're not just fans of this show, they are religiously, fervently obsessed with it. That's the difference. Korasami walked so that Bubbleine could run. Correction. Bubbline ran so Korosami could walk, so Bumblebee could fall flat on its face, so Catradora could dig itself a grave.
That's more accurate. Much better.
Yeah. Here's another John Harem fanfic, and Nora is goth. Goth Nora, everybody. I'm just kidding, I think that would be awful. Polygamy, MILFs, badass motherfucker John Arc. That's right.
No.
He's a badass.
Like
8,000 hits, guys.
I don't like that.
8,000 hits.
I did not like all of those words being said in one sentence together in that order. I didn't like that at all.
Fuda Lolly, an older woman / girl story collection. 6,500 words. Just normal people in the RWBY tag. Very normal.
Oh no! I just saw all those tags. That is problematic. No!
Sort of PTSD in a few chapters. There's ways you can have characters be traumatized without saying PTSD. PTSD is a specific thing. There's other ways that people, like, deal with stuff. Serial Killer Yang, Dr. Blake Cockboys, Blake Belladonna x Yang Xiaolong, and Yang has killed many people, I guess. So it's kind of like Killing Eve, but without any of the, finesse that makes it a good story. Blake and Yang are ridiculously in love.
Wouldn't you love a love story, but one of them is horrible in a mass murder?
Catradora. I will keep bringing it up. I know Raymond is watching the stream. I will keep bringing it.
Badass and Jean should never be in the same sentence. Exactly, that's what I said.
Legit question, why is Weiss the Fuda in 9 out of 10 RWBY fanfics? That is false. Weiss is almost never the Fuda. She is the one getting Fuda'd. And I think the reason why is because people... So here's the theory. Here's the tea, I suppose.
Fuda breakdown.
Here's from my years of research, here's the tea. Fuda exists because a lot of men are into two women fucking, but they can't really relate to it because, there's no anatomy involved that they relate to. So it's easier to give one the male anatomy, and, they can kind of visualize it better. There's that, and also, RWBY fanfic, like r/RWBY and r/MTF have big overlap, which probably helps because, yeah. It's like it has the biggest fandom overlap with, that subreddit. Not accusing anyone of everything, I'm just saying that, people who see themselves that way will probably want characters that are that way. And the reason why Weiss is never the Fuda is because a lot of people also like it when it's like the really kind of stick up her ass, like, straight edge girl is the one getting fucked because, for whatever reason. So Weiss has to be kind of the receiver. That's what I've kind of collected from this. Because a lot of times, there's, like, people really like the idea of, like, turning someone who's really stuck up, like, through their actions, like, making them just a different person or whatever. And it's not limited to, like, these types of fanfics, because I've seen other types of fanfics. I've seen, like, other fandoms do this with other types of fanfics. It's just a thing a lot of people like. Don't ask me why. Just is. Just realize there's like a big shadow over my face. And that's my breakdown of that. I think that's why. Okay. Sorry, a little interruption there. Redo of Healer. We don't talk about Redo of Healer live on stream because
Absolutely not. If I start complaining about that, then the stream will not end. that is a sore subject.
it is a sore subject. Redo of Healer. Yeah, let's not get into it because
we're not going to get into it.
We're not going to be here till 1 a.m.
No, I could go
yeah,
on
sorry about
for a long time about that.
Sorry about the loud noise. That door is like sticky, so when it opens up, it's like Ozpin Exhalum. Oh wait, yeah, that is a thing. Never mind.
I was gonna say that one actually makes sense. I'm surprised there's not more of that one. Because they did have, like, they were together at one point in the past.
Hurt/Comfort, alternate university, college, alternate universe, college university, alternate universe, high school. No lesbians die. Yeah, in a high school AU, I'd sure hope not.
I hope nobody's dying in a high school AU.
Although my favorite genre of anime is children avoiding getting murdered, so.
Yes.
Promise Neverland slapped. 4 kids. I know they had 4 kids. Stop reminding me. Spanish. We've seen a few Spanish ones. There's a thing I kind of wonder who is out here caring enough about the Aesops to write fanfiction about them. Name one trait of one Aesop. One that wasn't Clover. Just one.
The bald guy is the boring one. So boring, that's a trait.
I guess it is. Parade of Lewd. That's always a great one.
Isn't enough of a Tumblr sexy man to fuel fanfics for him.
My favorite like smut fanfic tags are the ones where everything's huge. I always find that so funny. I love it when the anatomy just gets absolutely bizarre. Like I can't say it on stream, but it just gets to the point where it's like that doesn't even seem comfortable anymore.
Is that even? I don't think that's possible. I think what you're describing to me is witchcraft and not a thing.
I especially think
my immersion is gone.
I especially think it's funny when it's like parts that like shouldn't be large at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what's even the point of that? Another RWBY Fuda fic.
When you read something and you know that based on what you just read, the person writing has no clue of anatomy. They don't know anatomy at all in any way, shape, or form.
Hey, Pepper, how many hits does your fanfic have? Like the one that you spent hours researching and world building for months and.
Let me actually. I'm gonna have to look that up. Not on my computer, but I think it should be pretty easy to find.
Because I'm about to destroy your soul.
Oh, I know. I've compared mine to plenty of other fan fictions. Let's see if I can log in. I'm just gonna search up the name. I don't think there's very many other ones with the same name. Oh. There we go. Found it. It has 3,889 hits.
Well, that's really good. So this one called Fiction Ficlets, which is a bunch of these anime, and is just, it has bestiality. It has 979,000 hits. And 1 million words.
See?
Man, you ever just feel like not being alive?
sometimes I see that because I'll go and I'll look and I'll compare. Like if I see something that has like a bunch of like like this, all those tags and a bunch of like just obvious that it's a heavy smut fic. I'll look at the hits and I'll look at my hits and I'll be like, am I writing the right thing? Like, should I just abandon serious writing
I mean,
if nobody wants it?
this guy kind of has it figured out because because he's getting prompts from readers, and it's so many different things that it's going to appear in a lot of different things, he has 294 of these prompts, so that's going to get spread out. So I kind of understand how that happens. This one is a My Little Pony crossover. Wish I could see those tags clearly. No, you don't.
No. No, you don't.
No, you don't.
I can see them pretty clearly.
This one is My Hero Academia, RWBY, and Has Been Hotel, and this person trusts themselves to write schizophrenia correctly.
Oh, that's a mistake.
That's one of those things I won't touch, because I just, can't really wrap my head around how it works, so I'm just I'm never gonna bother with that in writing.
Mm-hmm.
That's where write what you know is supposed to come in. Yeah, this is a really complex and heavy topic. I know I can't handle this. I'm not going to touch it. But that should be, for really specific things, not well, I don't want to write a character with red hair when I'm a brunette.
Mm-hmm. I would say, I think I could try it. But I also, it would be a lot of research. It would be a lot. That would be something you'd almost have to, really buckle down and read some fucking papers on.
Yeah, you'd have to definitely read papers and testimonies and all these different things. You can't just
absolutely.
Look it up.
Yeah, but I've had some experience with writing with heavy topics that I haven't necessarily had personal experience with. So I feel like if I spent the time and effort, I could, but I would not look forward to it and I would not recommend it. That's something I would much rather avoid. Because that's a very serious and heavy topic to write about. And very complicated. It's more complicated than anything. And it's very hard not to, accidentally write something horrible,
Where's the Cachadora Bumblebee fanfic? I'd like to see that crossover of just yeah, I abandoned Yang in her greatest time of need, but she's forgiven me. And Adora's wow, that's awesome. Catra tried to kill me personally 3 times.
Forgave her.
Yeah. That's the Chad Amphibia. You tried to kill me. 1 time. Oh no, I see Dom sub Coco Velvet fic. That's not that interesting. That's kind of how I'd expect that to happen.
Yeah.
Non-binary Oz. Why? I kind of wonder at this point, it's this whole thing about representation. What does this add? What does this add to the fanfic? They'll be oh, I wrote it so RWBY's autistic and everything's exactly the same. It's just the tag is there and maybe they mention it once or twice. Or they'll have some stereotypical moment of oh, I couldn't read your social cue, and they'll just say it out loud.
No subtlety.
No subtlety. Gender fluid, Clover NB, asexual Vine Zeki. How much are you gonna write about Vine to the point where him being asexual comes up? Where do you begin start to write about Vine? His only trait is being boring.
His trait, and then he dies.
And then he dies. He lived, he was boring, and he died how he lived. Unentertainingly. Everybody here has to be a little bit, gotta have a little label. Lesbian Cinder Falls, trans Rhodes. Wait, Rhodes was the dude who... was Rhodes the dude who, found her and then was yeah, instead of breaking out,
Yes.
you're just gonna stay here. And he's gay too. Bisexual Summer Rose, lesbian Wailer Sneed, bisexual Antaurus. Oh, good. I'm glad we established that Adam, the terrible, abusive monster person, is also Pride. Diversity win. Diversity win. Clover is gender fluid. I'm like curious about this one. I want to see how they fit this all in. Vine died making a piece of popcorn. Oh man, when they got like some like lore in the notes, that's when you know.
You wrote Flint coal. How did you work Flint coal into this? How?
So we have Rhodes here. It has yet to mention that he's trans, like in the actual story. At least in this one, he actually frees her.
Literally, the whole thing with Rhodes made me so mad because he could have just. They never gave a reason why he didn't just take her. He didn't just take her away. Like, why would you find, like, as a person in a position of power,
Who supposedly is, like a hero that fights for good.
why would you, um, why would you have that person find somebody being abused and then just leave?
Can you
They
imagine it?
no, they didn't just leave. They did something even better. They taught them to fight, gave them a weapon, said, "Hey, I know I gave you all of this, like, these violent tools. Don't use any of them. Because if you do, you're a bad person." And then when they inevitably use violence, which they honestly were kind of justified in doing, he tried to beat them up and arrest them.
Imagine if, like, a police officer went into a building and found, like, a child being terribly abused and was just like, okay, here's a Glock.
But don't use it.
Don't use it, don't use it.
I'm
But
just,
here
I'm
is a
gonna
Glock.
leave. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna give you this. Do not use it. And then when they inevitably do use it to defend themselves, they get beat up and arrested.
Yeah, nothing here about, the character being whatever, like, whatever identity. You just put it in the tags to make yourself seem cooler, I guess.
Probably to get more people to find their story. I know a lot of people do that.
Hold on. I remember the writers or Ozpin's voice actor saying Ozpin identifies as mega queer. What?
But
The man had a wife and 4 children.
I was gonna say, you can't just say that. You have to put it in the story. And when you put the opposite in the story, then you gotta do the work.
If Adam just said he was gay at the end of Volume 6, he would have won the fight. That would have been hilarious. Wait, Blake, you wouldn't beat up a gay man, would you? Um. Uh-huh. Penny and Weiss? Frostbite, and it's like BYTE. Okay, RWBY fans, you get that one. That is clever. Robin in Winter. Imagine thinking Robin is worth writing about.
I don't imagine thinking that Robin should have romance with anybody.
What is Robin? Like, she just kind of says things.
She's dramatic and angry. For
I
no
hate
reason.
I hate characters like Robin where they don't do good things, but the plot treats them like they're wonderful.
Yeah.
Like every character's like, you got it, queen. It's why in Three Houses my least favorite lord was Claude, because he's just not good, and he's like rude to people, and he keeps secrets, and he doesn't tell people his plans, but the game tells you the whole time he's super smart and charismatic and cool, and then everything's just like rewarded and not addressed, and that bothers me so much because that's not how a protagonist should work.
Yeah. Ruby is like that with most of its characters. Like, no matter what they do, no matter how horrible they act, they're always in the right.
They're in the right, and everybody has to laud them for how amazing they are.
Mm-hmm.
You are hurting. I still say RWBY doesn't have characters, only plot victims.
Plot victims. I like that.
Plot victims. One night stand after graduation leaves wife pregnant. I guess pregnant by RWBY. Huh. Cool. Guess. Again, it's like they want like these like very heterosexual plots, but like they also has to be women, so they just it's just a different coat of paint. So it always feels a little weird. Whoa. This is what Hadrian used to keep out the Picts in Scotland. That is impressive. It's just smut, of course. But, there's also stuff in here like this character has ADHD, this character gets adopted, there's racism, there's... like... There's a lot going on here. Man. Part 47 of the Deku Collection, Part 38 of the RWBY House, the House of RWBY Collection, Part 24 of My RWBY Academia Collection. This is 139,000 words. What's more?
That's so many
764,000 words of RWBY My Hero Academia crossover, and then this is 1.3 million words of RWBY. But it's 3 authors. Okay, that makes sense. But this one's 4 authors. 1.5 million words, give or take. Man, soulmates, platonic soulmates, soulmates. Wump.
That wall of tags.
Well, this is what the Chinese used to keep out the Huns. May Marigold and Winter Schnee. Why? Like I'm curious. What makes me curious is, what do you do to make this interesting?
I don't like, and like, how do you, like, May and Winter, what chemistry would they even have? They don't even talk to each other ever at all.
Like the thing about the reason why I say like Ilya and Weiss is woke, even though they don't really talk to each other ever, is because I can see that getting interesting.
Yeah, but I don't know how you could do that with May and Winter.
Yeah. Winter's cool because she could have a lot going for her, and then they don't. This one is incredible because it doesn't even like look like there's much smut going on here in terms of the tags. It's just tropes being tagged. There's PTSD, mental health issues. There's drugs, army, pop culture references, human sacrifice gets involved somehow, murder mystery, physical therapy. Wow. And it's about John. Oh, it's John and everyone. Okay. The Second Great War, 574,000 words. Man. We've seen a lot of smut, and I don't think any of it has been between, like, two, unaltered women, non-futa women.
Okay,
What?
what? At the very end, it was just child.
Oh no!
No, stop.
Oh no! Oh no!
Stop. That is problematic.
It is problematic for very obvious reasons.
Bad.
Awful.
The last thing I want to see at the very end of the wall of smut tags is child. This is the last thing I want to see in my AO3 tag.
That like picture of Chris Hansen is just creeping up in my vision. We've reached Circle of Hell number 5. No, the John and Blake, okay. John and Neon, that's a little weirder. John and Talk. Remember Talk, everyone? Yeah, the woman from Maria's flashback. Remember Maria, everyone?
Crocodile
Well, this is, if you remember Maria, this is the person from Maria's flashback in that one really good episode of Volume 6. Every day I wake up and the second half of Volume 6 exists. This one is just fan art of Nora. Like, bro, it's a writing website. It's a little weird.
This is not really the place for this.
This is, John is a porn star. Because he's so, has that, you can't resist that debonair charm.
I don't think he'd be very successful at that.
He like gets ready for a scene or whatever. He's just like, hold on, let me wipe this Cheeto dust off my fingers and let's get. Another chat fic, yay. But it's like the villain. Oh no, it's more of them.
Right.
Well, this one, at least they're trying to keep the main character. We haven't seen, like, them professing memes yet, which is nice. I love this title. With darkness, our tears collide. And it's just like RWBY ship fix. About their werewolves. They're also werewolves, guys. Porn star John. This isn't a swimming pool. This is a bathtub.
You know, seeing some of these titles makes me feel a bit better about my own title. I'm bad at naming things, but at least I'm not the worst at naming things out there.
Attack on Titan. And I love Attack on Titan fanfics because they're never about Attack on Titan. Like it's similar because it's a Fujoshi fandom when it comes to fanfics. So you know, it's just Fujoshi. They're not very good at writing things in the universe of the original show. The tiers of like, I don't know if there's tiers. There's like the three big ones. Me X the male protagonist. in which it's in the story itself, but it is very like I can change him. Um, there's like Fuda-fics, which are always just like really kinky sex, and then there's Fujo-fics, which are just the same thing with different characters, over and over. Oscar Pine, a character study, 3 words long. I didn't even see that. Hold on, I have to find it. There's one here that's like 1,500 words in 5 chapters.
I can't imagine a good character study with a RWBY character.
It's impossible, because what is there to study? They switch so often. You'd have to do some like really crazy Zero Escape type bullshit to make them make sense. Where like you're working backwards, and this was actually to do this, and it makes sense that he did this for the greater cause, and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It otherwise you like character studies are for like characters, not plot victims. My plot victim study. See, here's how these characters could be better. I think RWBY's character bloat is what kills it the most, because like you could cut out so much of the cast. I've always said that like you could have a full show of just Weiss in her circle, because that's how bloated the cast is.
Yeah, I mean, you could completely cut Juniper. I don't know why they even had Juniper.
Oh yeah,
like
what has Juniper?
Completely...
If you cut Juniper, what would be different?
Nothing. There'd be a lot less bridging. Fuck John.
Fuck John. Here's more John and John and Harem. It's inspired by The Godfather, 1972. Specifically. I like the ones. My favorite John X Harem ones are ones where it's like, you'll see them if I sort by hits here. It's like, John is so handsome that the women are throwing themselves at him and he doesn't know what to do. Poor John is such a victim. You can tell when this one was first written, the one I'm on right now, you could tell when it was first written, because May is there. Not May from volume 7, May from volume 3. Like, that is dated.
A while about who May, because I was like, what May from volume 3? I don't know.
She was in she was the sniper girl in the fight, in one of the fights. She
Yeah,
died.
I remembered. Because I was like, isn't she she's one of the tournament people.
Juniper exists for John to exist. Yeah, basically. I don't know what else they were thinking, having 9 main characters if you count Penny, when the show started.
Like,
I love, like, I don't know if breast expansion has a meaning other than what I'm, like, thinking it literally would be. Like, are there people out there that are into the idea of, like, someone's boobs just getting really, really big? like
yeah.
In real time?
Yep. That's exactly what that is.
That's so weird. Why?
Subsection of, like, inflation.
I guess I can't. If it's what people are into, it's not hurting anyone, and it can't happen in real life anyway. I can't really touch it. That's always been my thing about stuff like inflation, is like, it can't happen in real life. So I don't gotta. Oh, I didn't. I'm looking at your server. I didn't realize Slushy Cal is the person in the room with you. Hi.
Well, she's gone. She went into her kitchen to play D&D.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, she was in here while I was in for the first part of the stream.
Yeah. Yeah, you can tell this is just all smut. Like, this is the final circle of hell, is RWBY fanfic sorted by hits. John Arc X everyone, like, they're not even being subtle. And it's never just like, oh, here's John with a bunch of women. It's always really weird stuff. Like, super weird stuff. Like, just so they can hit every niche they can, I guess. John X everyone. And like, algorithms? Is that like a euphemism I don't know? Or do they mean like... Is he like saying that he's cheating the algorithm? Is he saying like math is involved?
I mean, I don't know what that. I've never seen that tag before.
Um yeah. Interesting. This is yeah, John X everyone again. Um it, it it's either John X everyone or or Fuda Ruby X everyone. It's yes, the horror genre. Yeah, there's no real in between. I want to see what happens if we actually take out E ratings.
All the smut disappears.
Kinky algorithms. I open up like I open up Python and put in a code and it just gets me going. Well, the most popular one is Dose of RWBY, chapter 233. It's humor in theory. The next one is John X everyone, but it's M rated, not E rated. So I guess it gets the pass from my search. Ruby and Juniper react to Dragon Ball Z Abridged.
Be specific.
It's one of those popular RWBY fanfics.
Why?
Started the episode without me. I'm going for a drink, the heiress said when she got up from her seat next to the RWBY. Okay, Weiss, Ruby said as she pressed the play button. Then, you know, I can't do justice to Dragon Ball Z Abridged, so I'm not going to try it. Is that even a word? Nora jokingly remarked. Pyrrha blushed a bit at Bulma's statue as a virgin, saving herself for the right person in her life, but unknowing to her partner sitting next to her, John is that person she was to be with. Wait, they can't revive him with the Dragon Balls, Weiss realized as she came back from getting a glass of water. Good way to encourage his allies, Blake sarcastically stated. Well, to be fair, Ren retorted, Piccolo doesn't seem to deal with large crowds often. Yeah, it's MST3K in text form, and it's awful. Woo, that was awesome! Ruby cheered with excitement, nearly knocking her partner's no apostrophe drink out of her hands.
Like this with a bunch of hits and kudos and stuff. I'm like, is this what people want? Is this what people like?
How has he not got depression because of his friends? Blake asked, no question mark in any part of that sentence. He must be optimistic. No, he must optimistic, Yang answered. This isn't even like jokes. It's just like the joke happening, and then people being like, yeah, that's the thing that's happening here.
This is so funny.
So fun. 111,000 people read that. And we're one of them.
All of us collectively are.
All of us collectively. We're reacting to a fanfic. It's reacting to an abridged series. Whoa. When the Ministry of Magic enacts a marriage law sometime after the final battle against Voldemort, this is the reaction from most of the populations who's against the idea. Huh. Okay. Why is there so many... Okay. Okay. And John Harem. Back to our regularly scheduled John Harem. This one is about fishing.
Oh, exciting.
1,800 words. 1,800 words and 66,000 hits. This better be funny. It's from 2013. Never again, Yang throws up her free arm, shall Blake and I walk through the woods. I roll my eyes with a smirk. I couldn't have been as bad as she claims I was. Chuckling, Weiss reminds her, yes, Yang, I recall that vote being shot down. She sighs, but it feels we're wasting time, when we could be doing something more fun, she offers with a shrug. It's just my opinion. Man, this is so funny. Yang, play nice, I warn. She knows that breast side is a sensitive topic for the heiress. Haha. You wouldn't have a say in the matter, Weiss warned. She'll glomp you in the showers if you're not careful. Guys, shout out to 2008. Shout outs. If you know what the word glomp is, my condolences. I look away with a blush. Oh, don't worry, Weiss, Yang purrs. She knows all about shower glomping. Sweet lord, Weiss scoffs with a roll of her eyes. I suppose your perversity? Perversity. I think she means perversion. Is to be expected by now, though. There's 161 kudos on this work, which is actually pretty low for 66,000 words. Because, like, this one has, that's just smut, has 472. This one has 1,784. This one has, I feel so bad, 69,000 hits, 1,700 kudos, 29,000 words, and it hasn't updated since 2016. Man. Why? I don't get it. Internalized homophobia. These fanfics give me internalized homophobia. This is long. I wonder what they're gonna cover in that many words. React, watch, believe, yikes. I received permission from Rooster Teeth. They are aware of this fic's existence and have provided consent as long as I clearly state what I have written and not written. All RWBY dialogue transcripts and songs are copied off the wiki and are not created or owned by me. Good luck trying to take it down, bitches. This isn't your normal reaction fic. RWBY found every season of Red vs. Blue in her basement and decides to watch it with her teammates when they get trapped within Beacon for the summer. Join them as they watch the adventures of the Blood Gulch crew and the fall of Project Freelancer while battling insanity, each other, and the inevitable question of why they're here. All in HD, of course. It is 636,000 words. Why? This was written halfway through Volume 1. Man, that dude has been at it for a long time.
Long time ago.
Man.
So, like, middle school.
This is 250,000 words that has smut in it, I guess. I got permission from Rooster Teeth. You didn't need permission from Rooster Teeth. It's a fanfiction.
I know. Like, but you don't need permission because it's on a fanfiction site. And it's a fanfiction.
It's like saying I got permission from Rooster Teeth to draw a picture of Weiss. Like, you didn't need it.
You don't need that.
You're not selling it as your own, so...
Like, good luck trying to take it down. Nobody's gonna try and take down your fanfiction.
I can sort of see the humor of RWBY characters watching Red vs. Blue. First of all, what would they say that would be funny, because no RWBY character is that funny. Secondly, this type of format does not work in text. Because a lot of the time, humor is based on, like, delivery and timing. Writing something humorous in script form is never going to be as funny as it is if you read it out loud. You can write really funny stuff, just not in script form. and certainly not reacting to a video.
Like the kind of things that you have to write for, like the kind of humor that you can work in to like a story is very different than the kind of humor you can work into like a show or a movie or, a short animation or like a auditory script, Like it's a different medium. So the kind of humor that you're going to utilize is going to be different than the humor you would utilize in other things.
Yeah, a lot of people have this idea that like things translate over mediums. It ain't just that's just not how it goes.
Yeah, like
Um,
an example I see of this a lot beta reading for people is when people try and take things from anime and put it into writing. Like, you can't just do that because anime is not only very over the top most of the time, but it is a completely different, it's animation. It's a
it's
completely
visual.
different medium.
It's
It's
visual.
visual. You can't just copy and paste things from animation into writing and expect that to work. It's not gonna work. It's gonna be awkward. It's gonna suck. It's gonna be. It's just not gonna work, and you can't do that.
Welcome to my fanfiction where the RWBY crew plays Donkey Kong Country 2, and they just sit there and vibe to the music. No commentary. They just ascend. You can't do that. Sure you can. What else is Control C for? And more John Harum. I hate when it's like the Bumblebee fanfic starts with she escaped from her abusive relationship. It's just the most uninteresting way you could start a Bumblebee fanfic. A relationship shouldn't be based off of like your issues with your last relationship. Because once you get over those issues, what's the other person there for?
Like, realistically, that wouldn't last very long.
No.
Because eventually, I mean, ideally, if you get into a relationship with somebody because of, you just got out of an abusive relationship and you're looking for, someone to fill that spot that you need them and you become reliant on them. Best case scenario, you grow and you don't become reliant on them anymore. And then what? Then that relationship's not going to last because once you don't need them, you don't need them. There's nothing else there.
Yeah.
And worst case scenario, you get stuck in another abusive relationship because you're dependent on this person.
Just like Blake and Yang.
Previous trauma. Yeah, just like Blake and Yang.
Men bad, women good. I think with them it's not just man bad, woman good. I think to them it's straight bad, gay good, because to a lot of people the only arc a bisexual woman can have is starting by dating a man and ending up with a woman. Also Bubbleen. Also Korosami, Starversus did it, OK KO did it, need I go on? RWBY did it. The real Chad move would be if Owl House ended with Luce getting with a man. That would be the greatest face heel turn in history. Craving the sky. Can't you people just give your title? People just give your fixed normal titles. Come on. Why are there so many of these involved trans characters? I mean, like, we established why. But it's still, like, it's everywhere, and it's kind of funny, because, again, a lot of the time it's not even mentioned unless, like, smut is involved. No, Molly, it's adults bad, children good. That's one of the central themes of RWBY. That is true. I liked Amphibia telling me that toads are bad and frogs are good, and newts are kind of in a weird gray area. we really need to talk about the class dynamics of the land of Amphibia. You know, I love when a show has politics like that. Like it's what they're talking about when you say it out loud is absolute nonsense, but it's so fun. It's so complex. I went up to my dad after season 2. I was like, "You're laughing. Someone died in the Toad Rebellion, and you're laughing." It's a good show. Toad's good. Frog's best, though. I haven't watched Amphibia yet. Nobody has! Go watch it! Go watch it. The frog emojis are in. Hey, Pepper, you still there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Alright, good. I was worried for a second my internet pooped out. I'm running on like 2 bars right now.
I'm here, I'm alive. I was looking up Amphibia because I've never heard of that.
It's so sad because it's like the one of all like the kind of like weird kid shows out right now, it's like the only really good one. It's a very based show. You know, do you remember? Did you watch Gravity Falls?
I watched parts of it.
Did you watch that really really good episode that took place in the mansion? Like the really freaky one?
I think so. I'm sorry I said that. I didn't know if you heard me or not. I don't think I saw that.
Oh,
I haven't seen it in a while. Like I saw it when it first started coming out, and I was like younger, and I'd like see it on TV. But I haven't sat down and actually watched it in a while.
That was like my favorite episode of anything when I was like 16.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy who directed that episode went on to make Amphibia. Do you think Amphibia will mess up and the show will croak? God, I hope not, but knowing my luck, it probably will. Because that's what happened with Star Versus.
Get you super invested and then just
Star Versus season, like Star Versus hit so many high notes and then just died. It was tragic because like it was fine yesterday. It's like seeing a healthy animal die overnight. You're just like, but it was okay last. It was right there. It was running around and everything. It just breaks your heart.
But I don't know. It was on the right path and everything. Feels.
Every day I wake up and Star vs. Season 3 is canon. I love when it's like freeform. Bumblebee, freeform. Like, what does that mean? Road trip. Yeah. These are all the same. That's just the facts, is these are all the same. Like, you run out of things to talk about with RWBY fanfics because we've already... Wait, what? Wait, hold on. Just as I say that, Rooster Teeth, Achievement Hunter, real person fanfiction, and it's smut.
Oh, real person fanfiction.
And there's animals
so
involved.
Uncomfortable. There's what?
There's animals involved.
No, this makes me uncomfortable.
And it's underage tag.
Non-con underage major character death. Real people. Bestiality. No! Bad. Wrong.
Did you know that the second longest fanfic on this website is Formula 1 real person fanfic? Like racing, like that Formula 1.
makes me so uncomfortable. Like one
I,
person's
I was
fanfiction makes me so uncomfortable.
I was going to need I was going to say, how do you write that many words of Crow X Clover, but then I remembered it's a Fujo fanfic. They don't need to be interesting. You just need to have a plot. I wonder, just, we'll wrap up in a few minutes here. I just want to check on Pokemon Sword and Shield fanfics because, or just Pokemon in general, there's always something a little bit interesting going on. Um, oh no, my internet. Oh, what's happening? It's happening. Okay, there we go. Oh, there's the second one's a Fujo fic, and there's pregnancy involved. Like you see what I'm saying is that like the plots are very heterosexual. There's pregnancy and there's raising kids and there's like you get what I'm saying. Like they're I think that's why they do it is because it just shows like the person writing it is probably straight. And
Yeah.
they want to see those characters, but they still want to relate to it somehow. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just like trying to like pick at pick the brain here, trying to figure out why that's
Yeah.
a thing.
Also, oh shoot. AA1E2R3. Freeform is a tag that basically means that they wrote the tag themselves and it's not an actual like tag. That's what freeform means. It's not its own thing.
Huh.
Um like if you make up a tag and add it into your list of tags and it's not one that already has a category, that would be a freeform tag. It doesn't actually mean anything besides that though. Fun facts. Like um Knights in that one. I don't know if it's still up because I'm kind of watching the stream and it's behind. But Knights dash freeform means that the tag Knights is a freeform tag.
What's
Fun
like the
fact.
benefits of putting freeform?
Nothing. It just lets the people know that if they click on that, there's not going to be like a category there with other fan fictions in it.
Got it. I love the tag polyamory negotiations. Like I cannot imagine reading anything more insufferable than than a group of fictional characters try to talk out the terms of their polyamorous relationship. I'm sorry, I just can't. Like
Yeah.
I'm actually curious to see if it's in like the first chapter of this one. Oh, well, there's poetry, which is always a great start to a fanfic. Um, this is like knights, and they're also gonna have polyamory negotiations. Interesting. Leon Morty, an original character. Okay. That's actually kind of interesting. This one has Fate, which is how you know it's gonna be good. What are Fate Stay Night fanfictions like? Reader, smut, original characters. Yeah, that checks out. Polyamorous negotiations in a fanfic would be kind of like I'm trying to think of like it would be like people reading a legal document in a fanfic. I'm not here for that. This one is just like a Spotify playlist for the character that they're advertising, I guess. I promise you I'm gonna know like 3 of these max. I don't know that one. I don't know that one. I don't know that one. No. Well, I know who Billy Idol is. No, 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 no. Mm-mm. Wow, that's impressive. I only knew one of these. Do they lawyer up for the polyfics? Yeah, so the fun thing about Pokemon is when you're going through that fanfic tag, I can't read the smut tags out loud. For my sanity and for yours.
It makes me uncomfortable because Pokemon is also like,
Yes.
children.
Oh, it's not the children you need to worry about.
Oh no.
Oh, yes.
Always the like always the like fandoms that are like the shows and stuff that are made for younger audiences that have the most smut. Like
Yeah, Pokemon gets that bad. Um,
Pokemon was made, you know, I'm not
I'm
saying adults can't watch it, but Pokemon was made for younger audiences. That's its target demographic.
like I agree with you, but I'd be super hypocritical to do so because the first fanfic I ever put up was one about like Sword and Shield, but I added in like that there's like a xenophobia plot between Galar and Kalos. Uh, and like Nessa has to deal with racism due to a new law that was passed that like outlawed a major part of her religion.
The only thing that bothers me is when you have a thing that is made for a younger audience. And again, I watch things that are for younger people too. Like I'm not saying that itself is bad or even being in those fandoms is bad. What makes me uncomfortable is when adults in these fandoms then go and make a bunch of sexual content and fill the fandom and like all of the like all the fan fictions and art and stuff and
Yeah,
all that smut. And it's like this
anyone
wasn't made for you.
anyone who was into like Sonic or Pokemon in like 2010, uh, who went on like DeviantArt to look at pictures of Knuckles the Echidna knows why that's a bad thing.
Like I know another big one is the My Little Pony show, which got children will look into fandom spaces for those shows too,
Yeah.
because it was made for children. Don't fill it with porn,
What
please.
what religion did you make, Nessa? I just made it so like like the kind of Kalos, like they worship Mega Revolving, and like Galar outlawed Mega Evolution because they find it like a heathen thing. So it was like that. I don't know. I had
Reading
fun.
that.
I had fun making it like super edgy. So
I think I actually remember reading that
yeah,
one.
because you beta read it for me.
Yeah, I remember.
It was like the first good thing I ever wrote. The younger the demo, the worse it gets. It's people get to see Sonic, Loud House, and My Little Pony. Loud House is like the new one. Loud House is like the My Little Pony of the generation afterwards. I have no idea why.
I don't get it. Like I've only seen like one or two episodes like on TV of it ever. And from what I saw, I can't like it doesn't exactly have anything all that similar with My Little Pony that it would be the predecessor to it
It's
in
not
that
not
way.
not that it's a predecessor. It's like the successor. So, what
Yeah,
I don't know what it
successor,
is
that's what I
that it tracks like that very vulnerable demographic specifically. Like Pokemon and Sonic, I understand because it's like
Yeah.
colorful animals and video games and like I can see why a lot of like young kids would get into that. I don't know what it is about the Loud House. Maybe kids just really like that show. I don't know. Like where's the weird like Teen Titans Go fandom? Like I don't see that, and that's way more popular among kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't I can't like I literally cannot think of anything that would cause that to happen to the Loud House.
The longest fan fiction in existence. Okay, actually, let me like I'm gonna preface it with that. There is a self-insert Loud House fan fiction. It's like 3 million words. And what you think I'm gonna say is that's the longest fan fiction for the Loud House. There is another Loud House fan fiction that is 10 million words. It is in script form. It has only been going on for 4 years. The guy writes 7,000 words a day. That is the longest fan fiction in the world.
I don't how do you have the time and to do that? Like, even if it's complete shit, which I'm sure it is, how do you have the time to physically write that amount of words every day?
Loud House doesn't have Queen Chrysalis or Discord, so why is it popular? I actually have no idea. I've never watched it, so I haven't like I know that I try to like pathologize fandoms and like trends and stuff. I have actually never looked into why that's popular. If I were to guess, it's because the premise involves around a boy who's surrounded by like his 11 sisters or whatever it is, and I'm sure that, at least one girl in that collection is going to tick off something for someone.
Yeah.
They're so plain and milquetoast they make it easier to project onto them. That works too. I think it's that. Oh, here's another chat fic. It's exciting. You go to like the Fire Emblem tag, and it's just like the most like dramatic stuff you've ever seen. You go to the Pokemon tag, and it's just like absolute nonsense and like weird Fujo plots. The Fire Emblem Three Houses tag is literally just, I can change him. I can change her. Girl, did he shit his pants? The girls are all stereotypes like tomboy, sports girl, nerd girl, creepy girl. It attracts D-Gen, so it's just in D-Gen's eyes a harem anime. I love calling cartoons like by anime genres. Amphibia's my favorite isekai. I like how this person tags it, so it's like cis lesbian, beauty, Pokemon training class. Cis straight man, pa, Pokemon training class. Man, unspecified Pokemon trainer. Cis woman, Pokemon center lady. Like, okay, you could just write their names. It's fine. It's fine.
Come on.
Piers and Steven Stone. I haven't seen Steven Stone around here in a while. I think with Pokemon it's really funny because all the characters are super like plain. You'll rarely get one who does anything that's like interesting. Every generation or two you'll get like an N, but it's very few and far between. Pokemon Sword and Shield characters had like personalities to some extent, barely, and that was enough for people. This one is about Tommy in it. Real person fan fiction. I'm pretty sure Tommy in it is like 16. So,
I think I might have turned 17 recently. Again, this is why I hate real person fan fiction, especially when it's like people like Tommy who are 16.
yeah, it's
Let's
not.
not write about them. Let's not, and it's really creepy and weird because some of them are smut. That's not okay. That's never okay. Do not do that.
When I first started going on Tumblr, I was in like the hockey fandom on Tumblr, and people would just like, they still do like write self-insert fanfics where they're like the they're like the girlfriend. There was one I read recently and then I saw come up and it was like, you're the girlfriend of whatever player and you're really funny on Twitter, and I'm just like, man, this person has a very specific insecurity. I like it when they do like every fandom they could think of, and it's just like a really specific kink they have. It's just the dedication to it. Make the content you want to see, I guess. Marnie X Pierce, we're scrolling past that one. A bunch of people on the internet creep on him, and Dream encouraged it. Thanks, Dream. Thanks.
Makes me, I always feel really bad for content creators who are coming up now recently who are really young, because there's a lot of them, especially with Minecraft. And I always feel really bad because I know that like we know now that like teen what's it called? Teen celebrities that affected them really badly. And this is just teen celebrities round two, like
Yeah.
these are the kids that are gonna grow up fucking screwed up because they are, big names. And, that's good for them that they were able to be successful, but I worry about them
Yeah.
and stuff like this
There
because
are
they know.
Yeah, there are people who write real life serial killers ex reader. I when you type that, I actually find it kind of interesting because there's something to be said about how eventually certain people who have done extraordinary things, good or bad, hit this level of mythology in our view. Like when you think of like a Jeff Dahmer or a John Wayne Gacy, what they did is so outrageous that you can't really like it's very hard to wrap your head around. So we as a society have kind of turned them into a legend of sorts. It's just kind of how the brain works. Like that's just how we take it in because it's very hard to comprehend. And I can kind of see how that happens with certain celebrities and certain figures. Like I think it's really weird when it's like streamers because like they're just there and what they do is very within the realm of existing. But
Like they just sit in front of, like I'm not saying that it's not impressive, like it's still work and they are still making a living. But like they're, just recording themselves. That's not like
yeah, I could kind of understand it when it's like these, like athletes, like professional athletes, because they are very mythologized. They do incredible things.
they were
That
the original like celebrities.
Yeah, that very few people can do. And I could kind of see where that comes from. That they fill this niche of being like a perfect strong person, like a superhero of sorts. I can see how that actually happens, and I can see how that happens with serial killers too, because again, it's messed up, but like they're it's like they're writing about characters, and there are a lot of people who have a thing for characters and real people who have done really weird things. Yeah, like those fangirls who sent letters to a Sanders Breivik, I think is how you say it. It's similar. There's like a weird psychological thing. There's a lot of theories about it. But it's kind of like on a lesser extent, a lot of villains who've done terrible things are very popular among people, like especially among women. How many women fell for Kylo Ren? Like it's just kind of a thing. I don't
Do
know.
you mean Loki from Marvel?
I do mean Loki from Marvel.
I mean, as soon as you said women who like villains, I'm like, oh, so you mean Loki?
Again, I always think it's just that I can change him.
I
Um,
saw one really interesting breakdown of it where that kind of made sense a little bit, where somebody talked about how people might be more interested in villains because villains are like a hero is going to be concerned in like saving like the world or like the bigger picture, while a villain is going to be more selfish. So
hmm.
you can more so imagine a villain like doing drastic things for you,
Molly, I think
which
you meant Bowser. I did mean Bowser. You got it. Um,
yeah, Bowser. That's the real Tumblr sexy man villain that we're talking about.
I like how people were excited. That's like, guys, Loki might be bisexual. Like, I haven't watched that many Marvel movies. But I've only seen Avengers, the original one, once, and I watched it when I was like 9. And the only scene I remember is Loki taking this drill thing and like shoving it into a guy's face and killing him like that. That
Yeah,
is
he
my
took out his eye.
impression of Loki.
Listen, he's interesting as a villain because he's one of, and another thing that I think is a reason people like villains is a lot of times they're written specifically to be charming, you know? Like that's part of their thing is that
Yeah,
they're charming, they're suave, they're smooth talkers, and that's attractive. If you can look past the fact that they, kill people. And when it's a
I
fantasy character, a lot of people will do that very
I
easily,
like
you
it when
know?
I find it really funny when it's like your Dimitri or your Kylo types where there's nothing charming about them. They're just
No,
horrible.
they're just angry children, like
Yeah.
angry,
It's
aggressive.
it's that whole thing where it's like there's a sweet soft boy deep down.
Yeah.
If there's one credit I could give to Dimitri as a character, it's the fact that when he's being a total edgelord, all his friends are like, "Fine, I hate you, asshole." I think Pokemon fanfics are interesting because, like, RWBY has no world building, so people just do anything else. Pokemon is interesting because there's so much world building and people just do a lot of interesting stuff with it sometimes. Like, even these Fujo fics still sometimes, like, get into the, especially Sword and Shield, where you have the, like, athlete angle, and they'll really, put some thought into it. I kind of appreciate it. I love people, like, picking apart the Pokemon world, especially in more recent generations where they've done some, like, darker stuff. I like, my favorite Pokemon character is Zinnia, and she has given me something I call the Zinnia threshold, which is how dark a backstory should be. A backstory should be dark enough to explain the character in the present. Zinnia's, like, obviously not right in the head. Like, when you play the game, that's obvious, and when you learn her backstory, her attitude and her motivations all make a lot of sense. But for some reason, fanfics about her, they'll give her, like, even worse backstory. They'll be like, oh yeah, she was tortured and like killed people as children, and like she canonically saw her closest friend blow up. Like, I think that's enough.
Yeah, you don't need to get much worse than that. Like, I don't know.
I always like that when a character has a dark backstory already and people just have to make it worse.
Has to be even edgier because, guys, edgier is better.
Edgier is better. That's Three Houses already covered that. They gave the three important protagonists basically as bad as it can get, so nobody can do anything worse.
Yeah, I remember I was talking with RWBY about somebody, and I don't remember who, but I remember them, like, they were talking about how they would want to make it better, and it was just making it, like, darker and edgier. And it's like, sometimes edgier isn't better. Sometimes you just because something is darker doesn't mean it's good.
That's the thing that gets me, is, like, things should only be as dark as they need to be to explain what's going on. What makes more sense, the fanbase of Dimitri or the fanbase of Kylo? The fanbase of Kylo makes more sense because of his attitude. Kylo is, like, sad edgy.
Yeah.
Dimitri's, like, hard edgy. There's a difference. Yeah. Emma in X and Y. Emma in X and Y, I love it because in the games it's already pretty bad, and then the manga was like, I'm going to fuck you up. Like, not you not Emma the character, you the reader. Dean says he has sent me an important GIF. Frog. Hold on, guys. Frog break. 30 seconds to look at Frog. Cool. Oh. I put down my phone, forgetting that that's how I'm reading chat. Sarah's like, oh, like, I'll send you that in a few minutes, Sarah. Don't worry. I think that, like, Pokemon, people think that making it darker would make it better. That's not really true. Making it deeper would make it better. Adding, like, more to the world makes it better. Not just saying that more people died.
Yeah.
That can be, like, a side effect of it.
Yeah.
But
and I feel like that's something that happens a lot with, like, stories. Like, people, especially, like, inexperienced writers or younger people will think that having something talk about darker subject matter, or having that darker subject matter exist, or having something be edgier makes it, like, more interesting. But a lot of times it's not true unless you know what you're doing.
Yeah, when I wrote, like, the xenophobia thing, why I wrote it is because I was talking with my friend about, like, oh, what are, like, the religious beliefs in the different Pokemon regions, and how does that play into things? Like, I wanted to make things deeper, not because I wanted it to be darker, but because I just thought it would be interesting to play around with that. The side effect of it is that it's darker. But, like, that wasn't the intent. You know? I think RWBY itself actually has that issue. It keeps trying to go darker, but then never commits. Because it's too scared. Because what actually makes something dark isn't that there's these things that happen, it's that there's consequences to them.
Yeah.
Because that's what stories really are at the core, is a thing happens and there's consequences. I saw a complaint recently. It's like everybody in Three Houses has a tragic backstory, and usually that would bother me. But I actually think it works in that case because a lot of their backstories almost all of them are directly tied into the world building, and it makes sense that they're all that way because the world building has affected them like that, and there's consequences to the world building. That's why I like it. The world affects the characters, affects the world, and it's a cycle. That's how writing should work. It can't just be we're putting them in this situation because we think it would be a good setup for my like romance fanfic. Like here, it's just some castle. I don't know, like what is. You can put them in any setting you want. You have to do something with that. It can't just be, I'm going to change their character to match the setting. If you want to do, like, a good character study, they have to be directly affected, and you can't just change who they are constantly.
Yeah.
Like, the reason why... Like the thing that RWBY didn't get is the reason why settings change in shows is because we want to see how these characters react to a new setting. Not because another anime did it and we're doing things that we think makes anime cool, because that anime is cool, guys. That's not what makes it interesting. What makes it interesting is that these characters are in a new setting. Let's see how they react to that. The reason why people like Attack on Titan Season 4 is because we see the characters we're familiar with act differently, still true to themselves, but differently in a new situation.
Yeah.
But, like, with RWBY, they were just like, let's split them up just because.
Yeah. Let's put them in a different setting so we can give them new outfits and redesign them again.
I like how in they sent them to Atlas just for them to have a school arc.
Yep.
Anger. And it just keeps happening. Like, the reason why I don't like Sword and Shield. I think the story is garbage. The reason why it piqued my interest, though, is because it actually gave us a somewhat different setting of, like, oh, what if the gym leaders were kind of professional athletes? And it was more of a sport rather than, like, a journey. And I really like that because that's taking something we're familiar with and framing it differently. And we can see how that would affect the people in the world. Then the final chapter of AOT happened. We don't talk about that.
Seen.
Man.
I still have the whole second half of the last volume to watch.
Man. I go back to RWBY, and I instantly see smut, autism, trans. It's like alternate universe rock band. This is the bingo of RWBY fanfics. I'm gonna open this up. Let's click on a random chapter. Oh, this is smut. Oh, no, it's not. It just mentions boobs. Unless we mention in every chapter, how will we know they have boobs? This is boring. Oh, and this one, it has angst and porn too, so don't worry about that. Don't worry. There's going to be, there is going to be sad fanfic sex.
Yes, everybody's favorite. That's what I need in my life. I need fictional characters having sex and being sad. That's really what I need.
Bonus points if they start crying.
That's my favorite. I just love crying Ruby characters.
I mean, there's a video on YouTube that's just like every time they cry in Steven Universe. All right, 2 more pages and we're gonna call it a night because I'm sleepy, and I'm sure
Yeah,
Sarah wants
I'm
to
getting a
call.
little tired.
So, uh, I think we've covered a lot of stuff about fanfics. Um,
Yeah.
oh yeah, characters having sad sex is really relatable aside from the sex part. It's like 20 minutes long, right? I don't know. Somebody look that up, like Steven Universe. It's like called like Steven Universe, but only when they're crying. Intersex Blake. I hate it when they call it intersex when they mean Fuda.
Yeah.
It's not what that is.
Like intersex is an actual thing that actual people can be born with, and Fuda is porn.
Yeah. No one has ever been born with both working sets of genitalia. Like, stop. That's not what that is. Just call it by what, call it as you see it. Ruby Fate and Fate smut. Yep. Checks out. RWBY fills a weird niche because it is both like it is both like sexist hentai addicted Discord user content, but it is also like 13 pronoun sets, full name on the card, harasses minors over ships, Twitter user content. It's very interesting to me that it fills both those niches. Because like volumes 1 through 3 gives enough, has like the former group, like the sexist hentai addicts, they get seasons 1 through 3. The latter group, the Twitter users, they get 4 through 8. Because the hentai people will never write about anything past 3. It just I don't know why that is. Like I think it might just be because of where it started and where it went. Because where it started was really casual, then where it went was just bad. Like volumes 1 through 3 are bad, but they're like normal bad. Like I've seen this kind of bad before. Then you have like 4 through now, and it's a very special kind of bad. It is a very special kind of bad because it breaks the fundamentals of what writing is. Writing is that you have a setup and things happen and there's consequences, and that is a story. People react to something and there's consequences, that's a story. RWBY manages to avoid these things. Therefore, it is not a story. RWBY isn't written. Like, it's not that it's bad writing. It is no writing. People just have ideas they throw at the wall, and sometimes they might connect. That is what happens in RWBY. I think with that, that's a good place to wrap it up. There's a good summary of what the real failing of RWBY is. Through the lens of whatever weird smut we find. Wow. And with that, leaving it on this wonderful... No, I'm just kidding. I'm just going to put it back on the homepage. With that, thank you to everyone who tuned in. This was actually a lot of fun. I'm definitely going to try to get Pepper back because you were great. RWBY is free for. You're great. Analyzing fanfics is always fun. What should I do next week? my hope is that if the RWBY soundtrack drops, I will do that, because, oh boy, that is always my favorite time of year. That is Molly Christmas, is whenever a RWBY soundtrack drops. Probably might talk about more fanfic stuff. Maybe spread it out a little. Might talk about Fire Emblem stuff. I don't know. I'll discuss it with my bros and see what they think. But for that,